All right, what is up, my peeps? Joshua Smith here with another GSD Mode podcast weekly real estate tip. And today I'm here to talk to you about the real estate market here in 2025 and how 2025 is going to be an extremely hard real estate market for the majority of real estate agents, real estate team leaders, and real estate brokerage owners. And most importantly, I want to walk you through the 5 must-do action steps, the must-do things that you need to do inside your real estate business if you want to go out there and make 2025 your best year yet. If you want to go out there and continue to crush it, continue to grow scale, continue to dominate your real estate goals, it's really imperative that you understand these 5 things and you get these 5 things dialed in inside your business right away. And look, I just want to lead off with this, is just because the masses are experiencing something, that does not mean you need to experience it yourself personally. So if we just study different, just study history and different economic cycles over history, there is more wealth created. There are more millionaires and billionaires created during down markets, during recessions and depressions than there are during booming markets. So again, just because the masses, just like in 2024, I mean, what's the stat that NAR came out with? Like something like around 70% of realtors didn't close one single transaction. I don't know the exact stat. You can go out there and fact check that and look at that. But I mean, there's a majority of our industry just getting crushed right now, but it's because they're doing the same things they've always done. They're doing the same things that they did in 2019, 2020, 2021, when we were amongst the longest bull market in recorded history, the longest real estate market expansion recorded history. They're doing those same things and they haven't adapted and shifted their overall strategies and how they're operating in their real estate business. And the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over and expecting a different result, right? So if we go out there and pivot accordingly, we can go out there and continue to crush it. As real estate agents, it's our job to read markets, understand markets, pivot and adjust accordingly, which again, I'm going to go through these 5 things here with you. But real quick, before I do so, make sure that you check out gsdmode.com, www.gsdmode.com for more additional free training, free resources. You can snag my free ebook on there. Got an amazing 3-hour in-depth hardcore real estate webinar training that's 100% free to help you grow and scale your business. You can also schedule a 100% free, zero pressure Zoom coaching call with me, where we can do a deep dive one-on-one with you and I, 100% free, no strings attached, where we can break down your real estate business and I can make sure that you have the right strategy plan in place to get from where you're at to where it is that you want to go. So again, make sure to check out gsdmode.com to check all that out. Okay, so now let's jump into the 5 must action steps, must do things that you need to do to crush it in this extremely hard environment that we are in. Okay, so number 1 is dealing in reality. So the first 2 are going to be kind of more mental, and then the other 3 are going to be much more strategic, right? So dealing in realities. So look, we are going to be, what I mean by dealing in realities is just acceptance of where we're at. Real estate, just like life, is much more like poker than it is like chess. So many people think life is like chess. So if I just make all the right moves, everything's going to turn out perfectly for me. Well, that's not how it rolls, man. Life is much more like poker. Like you are dealt this series of hands, or you're dealt this hand. And hey, man, there's times where you love your hand. There's times where you don't love the hand, but you got to play the hand that you are dealt. And this is just like, you don't need to love the market. I don't love the market. I don't love what we're seeing. I don't love the fact that we're in the most unaffordable time to be alive as a U.S. citizen to ever exist in the United States in recorded history. I don't love any of this. I don't love seeing, the crap that we're going through right now. But I can't do anything about it. So I just have to have that acceptance, deal in realities. Hey, here's the card that we've been dealt. How do I best play this hand to go out there and crush it regardless, right? It's no different than during the great financial crisis. Hey, man, I had to pivot, shift, and adapt into short sales, into REO, and go and knocking on doors and handing people, cash for key eviction notices. And some people, right, that were just ignoring the bank's, kind of, I don't want to say threats, but the bank's notifications. That's one thing. But when you're knocking on some of these doors, sometimes, and a lot of times, it might be a tenant in there that was up to date on their rent, that kept paying their rent. They had no idea that this was coming. and the landlord wasn't paying their payments and they're blindsided. Well, those are very difficult conversations. I did not love that. That wasn't ideal. That wasn't that wasn't the market that I wanted. That wasn't the hand that I wanted to be dealt, but it was the cards that I was dealt for that period of time, for that 4 years or whatever. And we had to pivot, shift, and adapt accordingly. So I want you to, instead of operating from hope of, oh, I just hope the market gets better. I hope interest rates come down. Well, I hope the new president, the new administration turn things around. Like, look, we are again in the most unaffordable time to be alive as a U.S. citizen. This inflation situation that we are in is not going to be a quick fix. If you remove real estate from it, just life in general, so damn unaffordable. Even if interest rates came down significantly, I don't know what type of an impact that's going to have on the real estate market. Look, I don't have a crystal ball and I'm not going to pretend to know, but I know that, dude, every time you go to the grocery store, every time you go out to eat out, every time you go buy eggs, every time you go, whatever, life is getting so damn expensive, right? It's just creating a much, much lower transaction volume environment. And when we look at this, when we got debt levels at magnitudes of scale, the highest that we've ever seen in recorded history on all fronts, consumer debt, corporate debt, government debt, look, this is a situation we've never, ever been in ever. Right? At least in recorded history. And I don't know how quick we're going to be able to get out of this situation. So I'm not planning on this being a quick fix. I'm planning on, hey, man, this is going to be probably a long road, could be years, could be decades. I don't know. But I'm going to deal in realities. This is the market that we're having. I'm not waiting for, I'm just going to wait till things turn around. No, like this is where we're at. We're probably going to be here for some time. So I might as well adapt accordingly to where it is that we are at. Then from there, the reality is things are probably going to get a lot worse before they get better. We just went through the longest bull market, the longest economic expansion, longest real estate expansion, longest bull market in recorded history. We are now amongst the biggest everything bubble that we've ever seen. Look, if we study enough history, it's like, look, the probability that things are going to get much worse before they get better is much greater than the opposite of that. So I'm paying attention to this stuff. I'm dealing with eyes. I'm paying attention. I'm going to be hyper focused and make the pivots, shifts, and adaptations that I need to make inside my real estate business. So number one is making sure that you are dealing in realities. You're not operating off of, hopium, out there. Okay. Number two, this again is a mental philosophy that I just believe in operating by. It served me extremely well throughout my 20-year career, is just the understanding that the real estate market is always good for somebody. Get this crap out of your head that, it's a good market, bad market. No, it's always good for somebody. Our job as real estate professionals is to identify whom the market is good for, meaning who's buying, who's selling, why are they buying, why are they selling, where are they coming from, where are they going, right? So, but identify that and then pivot, shift, and adapt accordingly. And then our business will always continue to grow. So I always look at this kind of like a science experiment. Like, okay, the real estate itself and my geographic location that I work is the one constant that never changes. My job is to know the product and move this product. The variable that's always changing, and it's changed multiple times throughout my entire, throughout my 20-year journey, is, okay, who's buying it, who's selling it, why are they buying it, why are they selling it, where are they coming from, where are they going? You're going to have times where the market's great for buyers, great for investors. You're going to have times where it's great for sellers. You're going to have times where it's kind of great for everybody. You're going to have times where it's great for renters. The market's going to be good for, but it's always good for somebody. It's our job to identify whom it is good for. And when I say it's good for somebody, doesn't necessarily mean that it's good for them. What I mean by that is that's where the opportunity is at. So an example of that right now is, okay, divorces are on the massive rise. We're again in the most unaffordable time to be alive as a U.S. citizen. Number one reason for divorce is financial hardship. So divorces are on the rise. I'm not saying that situation is good for them, but I'm saying there's big opportunity if you target that niche right now, because the probability of them needing to sell as they go through this new life change to split this asset is very, very high. So, okay, the short sales, REOs, those weren't necessarily good for the banks. That could be argued, right? But maybe they weren't good for the banks, or some banks, maybe they weren't good for the homeowner needing to go through the short sale, but that's where the opportunity was at. So when I say it's always good for somebody, it doesn't necessarily mean that that's good for them. What I mean that is that's where the opportunity is at. So we get our job, our number one job as real estate professionals is to identify where those opportunities are at in the current market. So whom the market is good for, pivot, shift, adapt accordingly. And if you do this and do this right, your business will continue to grow and expand. Okay. So then number three is you must shift to playing strategic offense. There are two primary reasons as to why I'm seeing most struggle in this market right now. Number one, they're still playing defense, right? So meaning they're waiting for crap to come to them. They're just waiting for a sphere of influence, past clients, the low hanging fruit to come to them. They're not playing enough strategic offense, which I'll break down what I mean by strategic offense here in a moment. And then number two, they're still winging it. They're not treating their business as a business. They're still just winging it. And how do I know if you're winging it? There's two red flags if I know that you're winging it. Okay, if you show up to the office, you're like, oh, I'm going to work hard today. But then you're like, okay, what am I going to do? Okay, dude, you're just winging it. If you do not have a plan with precision where you know exactly what you must do every single day, every single week to win, you are just winging it. The other way that I know if you're winging it is you're not tracking the most important KPIs inside of your business, right? Like we can't wing it. You used to be able to wing it, 2012 through 2022, you could get by with just winging it and go out there and make multiple six figures. Now it's he or she that's the best operator that wins. I'll go deeper into that here in a moment. Let me first though break down number three here, playing strategic offense. So let's first get into, because that's two words, strategic offense. So let's first break down strategic and what I mean by this. So this is what we're talking about when I'm talking about client acquisition, going out there and getting customers. And when I'm talking with people inside of our industry right now, which I've had lots of conversations with realtors, team leaders, and broker owners on a daily basis with the free coaching calls that I'm doing, people that want to grow their business, they don't know what to do. And again, if you want to book one of those, go to gsdmode.com. Happy to jump on a call with you, make sure that you have the best plan in place for you based on your situation, your market, your goals, all of that. But, a common thing that I get in there is like, dude, I'm doing a lot of lead gen, a lot of lead follow, but I'm getting all these people that just have no sense of urgency. There's no motivation. I'm like, look, you're targeting the wrong people. So by strategic, I'm talking about, okay, we want to operate like we're a sniper with a sniper scope. We don't want to shotgun crap out there. We want to operate like a sniper with a sniper scope. So this is where we start breaking down, okay, who is our market currently best for based on our situation? And this is going to differ, right? It's not going to be the same in all markets. There's going to be a lot of similarities. Like what works great here in my market in Phoenix, Arizona might work great in most areas in Florida, California, Texas, but then there's other markets. I got coaching clients like maybe in Maine. Okay, some of the things that I'm doing here in Arizona don't work the same as that we're seeing up in Maine because they're in a different market. Real estate's very hyper local. What's going on in my market may not be going on in your market, and so forth. So we got to identify, okay, who should I target that has the highest probability of needing our services right now in the marketplace? So because sales is just pain and pleasure. Somebody's experiencing a pain with their current living situation. They want out of that pain. They want to get to pleasure. So we identify, okay, those that are in that pain, that want to get out of that pain and get to pleasure. And then our job is to articulate, we're the best guide to get them from that pain to that pleasure with their real estate, with their real estate situation. So I want you to pay attention of, okay, who do I need to be targeting that has the highest probability of needing my services inside my marketplace right now, on the listing side, the buy side, the rental side, the default side, whatever it is. I want you to identify who, and you get multiple different who's, but for each one of these who's, I want you to go through this process. So we're first going to identify, okay, who am I going to target that again has the highest probability of needing my services? Step number two, because there's 4 parts to this. Step number 2 is, okay, how am I going to now target them? Because look, it all works. Like, let's just say we're talking about something like expireds. Amazing lead source. For my whole entire 20-year career has been an amazing lead source, right? But so many people are like, oh man, if I'm going to do expireds, I just got the phones. That's my only play. No, dude, you can call them. You can go door knock them. You can do mailer campaigns, highly effective. You can scrape their data, put it in a custom audience, toss into, social media, target them with, Facebook ads, online ads, YouTube ads. There's a lot of different hows. So then I want you to identify, okay, how am I going to target them? How do we identify our how? There's a few things here. Number one, what are your strengths? What do you enjoy doing? I'm a big believer in this. This is something that's not talked a lot about in our industry. But like, okay, if you freaking loathe cold calling, if you freaking hate cold calling, okay, well, I mean, should you really do it then? Like if you're going to have to show up every single day and do something that you hate, I would rather do things that I enjoy. Like, and I'm not going to say that everything that I do that I enjoy all day long and it's just so much fun. It's all sunshine and rainbows. It all has a work component to it, but for me personally, like I just don't enjoy cold calling. So I like methods. So, okay, when I go after expireds, instead of picking up the phone and just pound the phone and call them all day, dude, I've developed effective letter campaigns that I put them on. I get them calling me because I prefer inbound style of business. Now there's 2 different skill sets there. If I'm going to be cold calling, and I've done a lot of cold calling, I'm good at it. I just don't enjoy it. Yeah, right. So then from there, okay, yeah, I'm cold calling. Yeah, you got to learn pre-framing. You got to learn tonality. There's certain skill sets that you need to learn if you're going to go after the calls and pound the phones. Now, if you're doing letter campaigns, okay, like you got to learn how to, be a good copywriter. You got to learn frequency and all of those things. There's different skill sets of each that we need to learn. So one of the important things, well, when we're going back to the how, okay, looking at, okay, like what are your strengths? What are your weaknesses? What do you enjoy doing? But then also something that a lot of people don't pay attention to is timeline. So let's just say, okay, with my expired letter campaign, highly effective. However, my average inbound call from that expired letter campaign comes after mailer number 8 that I send them, which is 6.2 months post expiration. Because if you look at expireds, okay, about 10% of expireds relist immediately right out of the gate. The vast majority are like, yeah, I still want to sell, man, but I need a breather. I need some break. Like, I'm sick and tired of making my beds every day. I'm sick and tired of cleaning my house every day. I just need a break. The letter campaigns are really going to capture those people that are waiting 3, 4, 5, up to 2, that kind of 3 month to 2 year mark. That's why my letter campaigns, go out for 2 full years, with that. Well, okay, let's just say I get that average call coming in at 6.2 months. Well, now it's 7 months before I have that listing prepped, ready on the market. Then maybe it's another, 60 days before I get a contract, right? So now we're talking like 9-month paydays. So maybe you're like, hey, dude, I need listings like yesterday. Okay, well, that might then mean like the letters probably, unless you just get lucky, aren't going to, if I have somebody that's like, dude, I need listings yesterday. Okay, hey, we're going to have to go more prospecting based. So hitting the phones, door knocking, whatever, so this is where we also need to pay attention to what your personal timeline is, meaning how quickly do you need to scale up your commissions? Because more inbound marketing style, more inbound sources, not all, but for the majority of them, are usually more longer term sources. They take a little bit longer to build up. They typically tend to be more of that kind of 6 to 12 month, or longer, depending on what what is that you're going after sources, right? But if you need business immediately, that's going to be more prospecting based stuff. So we got to now we got who, then we got to identify, okay, how we're going to target them. Then the next thing is, okay, what does our message need to be? And this is really important because how I speak to, let's just say an expired, is different than how I speak to a FSBO. It's different how I speak to somebody going through a divorce, different than how I speak to, an absentee owner or, a notice of default, somebody that's 30 plus days late on their mortgage. How I speak to a Zillow lead is different than a Facebook lead, different than an open house lead. So we got to make sure that our message is matching the customer or the potential customer that we're going out to. Kind of marketing 101 is great marketers will enter the conversation taking place into that person's head, right? So that's what we want. Our message needs to really match what is going on, what are their pain points, what are their fears, what are their concerns. We've got to do our due diligence and make sure that we are matching our messaging based on that particular who, right? And now here's the cool thing is, okay, like let's just say I'm doing, phones versus letters. Well, my messaging is going to be the same. So when I'm speaking to an expired, it doesn't matter if I'm hitting the phone or if I'm doing a letter, the messaging is the same. There's different mediums of the how, right? So got to make sure that you know the message. Then the last step of this, when it comes to being strategic, is identifying, okay, what type of a process do I need? So like how long, how frequent. So, okay, like with my expired, whether I'm doing calls or letter campaign, my frequency is pretty much the same. It's going to go out for 2 years and it's going to start more aggressively and then it goes out, starts to wane off, over time. But there's certain days that I need to make sure I'm targeting to maximize overall conversions. So process is, how long, in which ways, in which mediums do I need to continue that ongoing follow-up, those ongoing reach outs, to make sure my messaging is continuing to show up in front of them to maximize conversions for that lead source. And this is going to be different because they all have different timelines. Yeah, right. Like my process is different again for FSBOs versus expireds versus absentee. It's going to be slightly different, way different for, let's just say, pre-foreclosures, NODs, because they have a different timeline, when it comes to this. So that's what I mean by strategic. Now let's get into the offense portion of this. Remember, like I said, number 3 is you must play strategic offense. So by offense, I mean, okay, what is in your full control that you can go after it? Well, your fate is in your own hands. Now, does this mean that I'm not going after past client, repeat referral, SOI business? No, I'm still doing those things and I still want to capture those, but I'm not relying on those things because I know those are going to be down with the market climate that we're in, just like everything else is down, right? So I want to play offense So, okay, what can I do with my new client acquisition strategy where I'm in full control? So an example of this, I get asked this question all the time. Well, Josh, I know that, you do a lot with divorces. It's a niche that, you really like in this current market climate that we're in. What's your strategy? Do you go after attorneys? And my response to that is, look, yeah, I mean, go after attorneys. I don't think that's a bad play, but that's kind of like the side hustle play, because going after attorneys, now I am waiting for them to feed me business. That's me playing defense. I'm sitting back, I'm waiting for them to come to me. No, I'm going to go get the data and I'm going to create campaigns, whether it's letters, whether it's calls, whatever it is, whatever the how is, where I'm going after them. I'm not waiting for anybody to come to me. I was having a conversation with a gentleman the other day, and we're talking about REO. And he's like, are you focusing on REO? And I'm like, dude, it's not that I'm not. Yeah, I'm going in, I'm signing up and have all my coaching clients, going and sign up for all the different, asset management companies, because there's a probability that REOs will start coming back and we'll see what that looks like. But like, is that a primary focus for mine in this market? No, because I'm just reliant on the banks feeding me those properties. It's not in any element of my control. And right now, a transaction volume being so damn low. One thing I want you guys to understand, right? And when I said that 2025, I meant to bring this up earlier in the podcast, but 2025 being a harder year than even 2024 is like, look, when you got transaction volume at 30-year lows, then when you have new purchase applications, now this is data that's already been released here in January of 2025. New purchase loan applications. So these are people applying for loans that will be valid buyers over let's just say the next quarter, right? We are now at 1990 lows. So even a market like mine where prices are down significantly, not in all cities, but the vast majority of the valley where I'm at, prices are down significantly. So you can get a much better deal than they could at the peak. Like, okay, a lot of the cities that I work, it's like you can get the same property for $100,000+ cheaper right now today versus peak pricing, let's just say 2022. Then we got interest rates that have also softened, not a ton, but have softened, right? So, okay, that means that, that same real estate is a hell of a lot more affordable than it was, let's just say in, 2023. But we got loan applications massively down, right? Again, lowest that we've seen since 1990. I don't think people are grasping the magnitude of this, right? And because again, we are in this extremely, just volatile environment because we are in the most unaffordable time to be alive as a US citizen. Things are going to be tight. Right. So like, I can't wait for crap to go after me. I got to go after it. Right. And this is where so when I'm talking about coming up with your strategy and playing offense, okay, it's like, okay, I need to know every single day of, okay, who am I reaching out to? How much reach outs do I need to do? How many conversations do I need to have to do to equate to the exact amount of deals? Or if you're a team leader, brokerage owner, same thing for agent recruits, to go out there and make your goals a reality. So number 3 is you must play strategic offense. Okay. Number 4 is you must treat your business as a business. What do I mean by this? There's multiple components here. So number 1 is you must have a plan with precision where every single day, every single week, every single month, what you must do to win. So again, here's what I need to show up. Here's what I need to do. Here's what I need to accomplish every single day, every single week, every single month. And if I do this, boom, I am winning. So, and that really comes down to what we talked about for point number 3 with that strategic offense. So number 1, plan with precision. Number 2, when it comes to treating your business as a business, is you must be tracking every essential KPI inside your business. So an example of this on client acquisition, okay, I need to be tracking number of leads that I'm getting per source, number of reach outs, number of conversations, number of appointments set, number of appointment conductions, number of clients, number of closings. So now I can create predictability, but then I can also see my areas of improvement, where I need to grow and scale, but really to be able to, the most important element of that, well, they're both important. Create that predictability so we know exactly what we got to do then to win. But then it's really important to be able to know what area of our business that we can go and improve. Because I'm telling you right now, the quickest way to double or triple your business isn't to double or triple the amount of hours that you're working, isn't to double or triple the amount of leads that you're generating. It's to get 2 or 3 times better at what you're currently already doing, right? Okay, then from there, you got to make sure you get your processes in place. So your processes are just the step-by-step actions that you are doing to execute on your strategy. So boom, we got your processes in place. Then we have those processes living inside systems. Systems allow our processes to be executed on the same way each and every single time. Ensure things don't get missed, and ensure that things are done in the most effective and efficient manner as possible. And then eventually treat our business as you understand and know how to plug in the right leverage components, meaning hiring the right people at the right times in the right ways to continue to grow and scale your business if that's something that you want to do. So number 4 is treating your business as a business. And then number 5, last point here, is got to be willing to work your ass off. Look, there's in business, just like life, there's times of peace, there's times of war. 2012 through 2022, I know I keep referring to this time frame, but that was a decade long of peace. And long times of peace are always followed by wartime, whether it be business or just life in general. Now we are in business war. We are in economic war. So right now you got to be willing to do what it takes. You might have to work 6 days a week versus 5 days a week. You might have to work 7 days a week. You might have to work 12-hour days versus 8-hour days, right? Like we're all having to go out there and grind more, work more, be more focused, work more, work harder. Not everybody, but the vast, I know I am, right? Like I'm having to go out there, I'm working more, I'm having to be more focused, being more intentional than I've ever really been in my 20-year career. Now, part of that is not just because I want to experience, part of that is not just because I want to create success, but also part of that is I know that this might just well be the best opportunity that we ever see in our careers, in our lifetimes, to go out there and snag massive market share. So that's also why I'm doing that, because I want to position myself, because I'm watching all these realtors drop like flies, team leaders dissipating, broker owners starting to, close down, so on all fronts, I'm watching it get, be negatively impacted. So this is a huge growth opportunity, for us as well. So those are the 5 things that we must do here in 2025 if you want to crush it, if you want to succeed, if you want to, go out there and make your real estate goals a reality and not be amongst the majority that are going to struggle. Because I'm telling you right now, 2025, I don't have a crystal ball, but from everything I'm seeing and what we're already seeing as we're entering 2025, it's probably going to be a harder year than 2024. And 2024 was already pretty hard for most, and 2025 is probably going to be harder. 2026 might even be harder than 2025. I don't know. I don't have a crystal ball, but that's what I'm planning for. All right. So then from there, again, make sure to check out gsdmode.com for more additional free resources, more additional free training. Again, I'd love to jump on a one-on-one coaching call with you, where I can break down your business, what your 12-month goals are, what your long-term visions and goals are for your real estate business, what you're currently doing, what your biggest obstacles are. Then based on all that information, help you come up with the best strategy plan to make sure that you get from where you're at to where you want to go in the most effective, efficient manner possible and profitable manner possible. So again, if you want to take advantage of that, go to gsdmode.com. Also on there, if you have interest, love to have a conversation with you about partnering with me at EXP, and we can have a conversation, 100% confidential, 100% zero pressure. Everything I do is 100% zero pressure. So you never have to worry about being recruited, hard sold, any of that BS with me. But I'd love to talk to you about what we're doing here and what I'm doing at EXP and what a potential partnership could look like and how we could go out there and expand and crush it together. If that's something that you have interest in, again, you can do that at gsdmode.com as well. All right, guys, keep up the amazing work. Keep crushing it. Appreciate all your support, and I will talk to you next time. Peace.